All right, and welcome to the Gyrl podcast, the show where purpose meets inspiration. Each week, I sit down with incredible guests who open up about their real life journeys, the wins, the setbacks, and those lessons in between. Whether you're navigating entrepreneurship, personal growth, or career moves, you're in the right place. I'm Kyra Mitchell Lewis, your host, and I'm so glad you're here. Let's glow up together. All right, happy Thursday, everyone. I hope you all are doing well. I hope you're having a great week. We are so close to Friday, so if you're almost there, like you're like Friday Junior, Friday Eve, whatever you call it, I prefer Friday Junior. We are close, my friends. All right, so let's talk about our guest for today. I am excited to bring Tian Philson to the show today. She is a leadership transformation and decision making coach and the founder of LSF Wellness, where she helps high achieving women lead with excellence without paying for it with their energy or peace. So I know we have a lot of high performing people who listen to this show, a lot of women. And I know you may be saying, yes, that's me, that's me. When you think about things like decision making, you think about things like just working in excellence, yes. Drawing on more than 20 years in corporate strategy and her proprietary voice framework, and that is VOICCE, everyone. She works with leaders ready to lead from a quieter, more sustainable place. So let's grab Tian and bring her to the show, and we'll be talking about excellence without exhaustion, leading fully without burning out. All right. All right. Well, welcome back, everyone. And let's welcome Tian to the show. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Kyra. It is so good to be here. You have a wonderful platform, and I thank you for bringing me in to be in this conversation.
Thank you so much. I love it. I love it. This just is the power of networking. I got introduced to Tian from someone who was on the show before, and it's just amazing how people don't forget, a moment where they get to connect to someone and then they tell somebody else. And just also to just that thought of thinking about another person and saying, I think you would be really good to connect to this person. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't take it lightly when somebody, one, chooses to, because it's an extension of our equity, right? Like our personal equity.
yeah.
Be like, let me introduce you to someone,
Yeah.
and feel like, hey, there's going to be an opportunity for a good connection here. And so I take that as a compliment when someone wants to introduce me to someone, and even better when someone says yes.
Yes. All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and get started? Let's have you tell our audience listening or watching who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I'm Tian Philson, and I lead a leadership development practice called LSF Wellness. We focus on one-on-one coaching as well as cohort-based coaching. We also deliver speaking engagements. The tagline that most lands for people is, I help people go inward so they can go upward. And I think it really encompasses so much of what we take pride in here at LSF is just helping us all start with our own inner wisdom, our own inner insights, in order to then get to that next place that we're craving. And that could be upward, could mean more peace, it could mean more confidence, it could mean, a vertical promotion into the next opportunity, or just another higher level of life that you've envisioned. But first, we start by going inward. And we do that, as I mentioned, through one-to-one, through groups, and
Mhm.
through speaking engagements.
Awesome. I love that. All right. So we're just going to get into it because this topic is one that I think resonates with so many people in our community who listens. And it's just this like, how do I be excellent without burning out? Right.
Exactly.
So I love that this is where you help people. And I love everything you just said. So let's talk about you first,
Yeah.
because you spent more than 20 years inside of like major brands, working inside of those corporations. What was the moment you realized that doing it all, as we say, was not sustainable, even though you were succeeding at it? And I think that's a really important piece of it.
Yeah. I love this question so much. Thank you for asking it, because first, I'll have to be really honest and say, I don't think it was one moment. I think there were many moments of you start to recognize that you've gone off track. you've gone
Mhm.
astray, if you will, from something. And I think that for me, what that something has been has changed over time. So I'll take a step back. For example, when I first went into school, I had this vision of being this businesswoman because I don't know about you, but I don't feel like I had the full spectrum of all the things that I could be when I grew up,
Right,
right?
right,
Going
right.
into college, it was like
Yeah.
there was this narrow view, and based on my grades, based on what other people were pushing me toward, well-meaning people, but still other people's visions, not my
Mhm.
own, I pursued this role. And at the time, it was great because I ended up getting a degree in marketing. I ended up landing a position in sales. And what I mean by it was great is it was great that I had a job when I came out of college. Like that was great.
Yes, yes.
I had two little mouths to feed, right? And so at the time, the vision was put food on the table
Mhm.
and worry about the passion later.
Yes. Mhm.
But that's what I needed at the time.
Yeah.
Where that became unsustainable is where putting food on the table was no longer enough without the ability to feel connected to the work I was doing.
Mhm.
So, my first job out of college was working for a cigarette company. I learned a lot about that industry. I grew a lot in my skill sets, but there came a point in time where I was literally crying driving to
Right.
work, feeling like I this is not what I want to do. This isn't
Yeah.
I don't talk about my work with any level of excitement or joy. So that
Mhm.
was just one moment of realizing, like, even though I'm succeeding on paper, she's graduated, she's got a full-time job, she's earning a good salary, she's
Mhm.
putting food on her table every night. I was deeply unhappy and something had to give. So the
Mhm.
vision no longer matched.
Mhm.
Another time that I'll point to is when I did work for an organization in which the company itself, I was so proud of the work that we were doing and the brands that we represented. And I was
Mhm.
continuing to move up in the organization. But once I came home at night, I was no longer myself. I was irritable.
Mhm.
I mean, like I said, just not myself. And I think that's the identity work that becomes so important is
Mhm.
who is the person who do I want to show up as day in
Mhm.
and day out? Who do I want to be under pressure? How do I want to show up for my family and in other environments? And so once I realized that I'd gone astray of the person that I wanted to be,
Mhm.
that's when it was time to make a change, even though on paper I was succeeding and continuing to move up.
Yeah. I think that, thank you so much for sharing that. I think that is so important because people only just see the outside and like you said, the upward movement. And that,
Yes.
oh, this person has a good job. Oh, they have this title. Oh, they must be making this money. It's all a bunch of like perceptive, like it's a perception, right? It's a
Exactly.
walking perception for many people. And I do agree with you about what you said, like growing up and being younger. Like I live in Georgia. I live in Atlanta now, but I'm from like South Georgia.
Okay.
And it's like I only had this goal, like, oh, I know I need to go to school. I need to get a degree. I need to get an internship and I need to get a job.
Yep.
And while I mean, there were, these sort of like kind of bait, so to speak, jobs that people got that lived in my town. It's like, oh, okay, you be a teacher or oh, you
Hmm.
be this. And I was like, nope, I want to be in marketing because I knew I couldn't do like the thing I wanted to do is like just go off to like another state and just try my luck, right? Like I'm like, oh, I just want to go maybe write. I want to go do something. But I knew my parents were like, no, you are not doing that on our watch. Like,
Uh-huh.
so
Uh-huh.
so it's like you said, you sort of have like this sort of like narrow focus of like the things that you must do
Mhm.
because I must do these things because they make sense for someone like me
Yes.
versus, kind of just like going all out and being like this adventurer. And I think like I tell people all the time because like I think people now I do in this sense, I do refer to like people and their like astrological signs because I do believe that there's truth in like your personalities. I'm an Aquarian and we automatically like rebel against the system. it's like a silent rebellion it's always been like a silent rebellion for me because
Uh-huh.
I have been I'm always the person that shows up on time. I'm like the dependable person. I'm the one that my parents count on. So I was
Mhm.
always carrying all those things but in the back of my mind, I just wanted to be free. I was like,
Sure.
oh God, I want to just be free. And then it was that way in corporate. Like I became the person in corporate that was always the one that you can count on, the person we can give more work to because we know you can handle it, you'll do
Yep.
it, and then just continuously going. But I understand, I definitely feel you when you said there were these moments where you just felt like, I'm not showing up as my true self anymore.
Exactly.
I'm
Exactly.
yes, like, I'm not really happy doing this anymore,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of times women are afraid to just say, like, it doesn't make you ungrateful if it's not
Mhm.
but if it's not sustainable, like, last year before I was laid off, I was hitting the wall, and I was just like, I really don't wanna do this anymore. I'm tired of managing people. I'm tired of telling other people what to do. I'm tired of not being able to, like, do my own work because I'm always having to help people during the day. And
Yes.
I was not, like you said, I was not excited about the thing in which I was like promoting.
Right.
And I was
Right.
like, I have worked over 20 plus years in marketing. And there's probably like, there had been one job that I had where I absolutely loved the product. And it's amazing
Mhm.
because it was baby products and toys, and I have no kids. But I loved that job. I loved those people. I loved that product. And it was something that was really proud of, like all the
Yes.
time. But I certainly understand you. And I think like that is important for people to distinguish, like, it being sustainable versus being successful, because of course,
Yes.
we can juggle a lot. Like, just because you can do something doesn't mean it's the right thing for you.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And I think that's the distinction of going inward, right? And I do want to just address what you said because I think so many of us can relate, myself included, with there's very well-meaning people in our lives that are guiding us toward what they've learned or experienced as like the best path forward, the safest
Mhm.
path forward, the path that's going to keep you from getting hurt. And they
Right.
mean well.
Yeah.
But because a lot of us are, for whatever reason, we are conditioned to want to please the people that
Mhm.
have given birth to us, that have
Yeah.
cared for us, right?
Yes.
Whatever the reason, it can be really hard to quiet the external noise and the external
Mhm.
pressure and just turn that attention inward and be like, but what if I did move to another state and pursue writing? But
Right.
what might it look like for me to actually go off the beaten path? And so I
Mhm.
think that voice gets suppressed, not on purpose at first, but by practice over time, that voice gets suppressed. And it makes it where I truly believe that like our body is constantly sending us signals and it's saying, hey, something's a little off. Hey, we're a little out of alignment. Hey, I think something
Mhm.
needs to change. And it's not until there's this like physical pain, this reaction, and that pain can be the
Right.
tears
Yeah.
that are coming on your drive to work, or it can be the agitation in your
Mhm.
voice, talking to your coworker or even your loved one at home.
Mhm.
And that's when it's like something's off, something's wrong. And
Right.
so, yeah, it's like being able to turn inwardly to recognize that and go, what's
Mhm.
actually going on here? Where have I lost connection with my voice? And then you
Mhm.
can do the work to get back on track.
I love that. Yes. Now let's talk about next thing, burnout, right?
Yes.
Because high achieving people, we hear burnout and it's like, hey, you not talking about me. I'm
Yes.
just tired or I'm just exhausted. And what's the difference? And why does that matter?
Yeah. I think this is such an important question and an important conversation to have. I don't think there's just one answer, but I think that there's something that we can start with today. And then
Mhm.
each person has to like do some work
Mhm.
internally. I think one thing that I would say is that exhaustion tends to be more short term and it tends to be more like physical, mental state.
Mhm.
And you can normally rest your way back from exhaustion.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
when it comes to burnout, you are now being tapped and depleted in ways that goes beyond the physical and the mental. Your motivation changes. Again, who you are and how you show up starts to change. And the the inner resources that you have to do what's required look like it's no longer available. And what I would say is rest doesn't tend to fix it. The vacation doesn't tend to fix it. Something deeper needs to happen. Now, I do think it's really important, right, to stay in my lane as it relates to me being a coach versus a therapist, right? And so there could be something else at play, like something like depression that can also start to show up with similar symptoms as burnout. And perhaps there's some interconnectedness. And so I honestly feel like if you're in that space of starting to recognize such significant shifts, you absolutely should be talking to a mental health professional. But regardless of that, noticing when you've gone from just, hey, I'm physically tired, I'm mentally tired, I've rested and now I feel better, to like, hey, I've changed, like physiologically, things have changed for me, and it's going deeper than just like the surface, and it's lasting a lot longer. I think that's the distinction.
Yeah, I would agree. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I definitely think people immediately just go into like, oh, it's not burnout. I just need to get some rest. And then
Yes.
you would hear the people, like I remember when I was in the corporate space, and you hear people come back the following week and they're like, I don't know. I mean, I'm just so
Yes.
like trained all the time.
Yes.
And then it starts there, like you said, and then eventually it's like, then they're irritated all the time.
Exactly.
And you're like, oh, I
Exactly.
don't want to meet with them because they're going to be terrible today. And it's like, do you want to try something different?
Well, I used to say too that like there was a season in my life that I would go to bed exhausted and wake up tired. And it's like, we're working from a deficit here. If you, all you could do is like improve from like negative 100 energy down to negative 50 energy, like we're not there.
Still got a problem.
Still got a problem. And I think the other thing about it too is, like you said, sometimes we're used to carrying a lot, and so we think, well, this is just the way that it's going to be. And just because you can carry it doesn't mean that you should, and doesn't mean that it's not continuously depleting you.
Yes, and I think if you all are listening, watching, just rewind it back, just pull it back a little bit so you can hear that again, because that is so because and it's oftentimes connected to like higher things, right? So it's like in the sense of, oh yeah, I mean, I know they keep dumping like everybody's work on me because the other person
Yes,
can't do it and they give it to me. But if they see that I can handle it, then I'm gonna get promoted. And
exactly.
then you find yourself saying that for like 5, 10 years, and they're still dumping and you're still like
Exactly.
depleting more and more and more.
Right.
Yeah.
And what you're naming, right? It's these belief systems that are happening in the background. And
Yeah.
more often than not, our belief systems are happening below our conscious level. And so we don't even realize that we're reacting from either outdated beliefs or beliefs that are harming us. And we're just doing what quote unquote feels right in the moment without taking that time to pause and be like, wait a minute, what
Yeah.
needs to shift?
Yeah. And just like you said too, like a lot of people have been conditioned or almost like people pleasers.
Yeah.
And when you want to please people because you don't want to, make someone mad if they ask you to do something, it's like, no, it's okay. And
Hmm.
I mean, I only say this to you, my lovely community, because I've lived it. I lived it. I was
Yes.
the person who was like, well, I'll take it on because if I take it on, then they see that I am willing. And then it gives me one more thing that I can say. Like for a while, it was building skills. Like for a while,
Yes.
it was building skill set. And I was like, oh, that's great. That's cool because I want to continue to learn. But then after you get to a certain level, certain age, I
Uh-huh.
think like it's like, no, it's not. Y'all just playing at me now. It's not about the skill
Yeah.
set because it's like, oh, this is truly never going to happen. And then this is when you have those decisions to make, have conversations with them to say, okay, so what does the promotion look like? And then
Hmm.
you can see if either you get like an actual like documented proof of like, okay, you do these 3 things over the next 6 months, you promote it, or you get the,
Hmm.
well, okay, let's see, let's go here, and then the goalposts keep moving like every
Yes.
time you ask. So there's a real difference, and part of like you're saying is that the work has to be inward because you have to
Hmm.
realize, you have to think about, what am I willing to accept?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that being able to slow down and notice that, right? And I'll say that a few different times, like slow down, pause. Um, Even understanding your own motivations. A lot of
Hmm.
times I like to ask my clients, how is that serving you now? Right. And so there could have been a time where over delivering, maybe it gave you confidence. Maybe it's like you said, taught you skills. Maybe it in some ways increased, your what is that called? Like your equity or whatever, like with
Oh
a
yeah. Hmm.
relationship, right?
Right.
But then when you've done this for 2 or 3 or 4 years and it's like something has changed, the landscape has changed. And I ask my clients, well, how is that serving you now? So maybe you no longer want the promotion, or maybe you're now seeing your health is declining, or maybe people are no longer valuing your extra efforts. Something could have shifted. And without slowing down and asking that question, you're just reacting, and pouring out of yourself as opposed to being intentional about how you
Yes.
move.
And that is essentially what starts to happen, right? You're just, it's like what they say, insanity. You're just doing the same thing and expecting a different result. And unfortunately, it's not going to happen.
Exactly.
All right, so let's talk about a leader. I love this. I love this here that you talk about leaders getting quiet enough to hear their own voice again. Because I think people really forget that sometimes as people turn into leaders, whether that is leading, like, and reminder, leading doesn't mean you have to be leading people.
Amen.
You're just a leader. And as you're leading, I mean, sometimes people forget that, like, people stop hearing themselves, and they don't hear their own voice. So let's talk about what does that look like on a packed Tuesday? Like it's like,
Yes.
because like today, I mean, my Tuesday's been jam packed, and I'm not a retreat. So how can people take that step back and pause and hear
Yes.
themselves even when the noise around them is loud?
Exactly. So, first of all, thank you for saying that, because I will say it until I'm blue in the face that you do not have to be leading another person or a team to be a leader. You are a leader in your own life. You are a leader in your professional settings or your community or wherever it may be. If you are impacting how other people, if your presence impacts another person in some way, you're a leader. And again, your presence will always impact you. So you're always a leader of yourself first. So sorry, that's my soapbox. Now, getting back to how you get quiet enough. I mean, I think, can we all relate to the idea of being in a space or a place where, like, you're not even sure whose voice is now running the show? You talk about some of those beliefs, and it's like, I'll use one as a person. And actually, today's my anniversary, the day that we're recording. So,
Happy anniversary.
thank you. I think about what it felt like, and I know you talked about a Pack Tuesday, but I'm going to use a really relatable example for just anyone that's been in a relationship with another human. There was a time where I had this running belief that, as a wife or a partner, I was a good partner if the things that I did helped my partner feel seen, appreciated, and loved. And sometimes how that got translated into was putting the other person's needs before my own, quieting my own voice. And so even though I'm exhausted, I'm making sure they feel seen, appreciated, and loved, right? And so you do that enough times and you don't even start to notice that, like, hey, I've made all these different sacrifices. And it's not about whether the other person appreciates it or not. This is not about the other person. This is about, like, I'm not even paying attention to my own needs. I'm not asking for what I need. I'm not asking for what makes me feel seen, appreciated, or loved. So that's an example. Funny story. So if you'll bear with me for a moment, at the time that we're recording this, Moana it came out like 3 weeks ago, but Spider-Man just came out this past weekend. Okay. And so for weeks, because we've had a very busy schedule, so we're 8 years in now, but this conversation would have looked entirely different 7 or 8 years ago. I say to my husband, okay, it's the weekend, Moana's out, I'm excited to go see it. And he goes, well, actually, Spider-Man just came out this past weekend. I can feel like this sensation inside of me that feels like, now I can call it disappointment. But I think there was a time that I would have this reaction that's like, why are we even bringing up Spider-Man? Like, the plan has been to see Moana, right? But instead, I hear him out and I'm able to just, like, hear what's happening in my own head. Like, oh, Tian, you're chattering in your own head, but, like, listen to what he's saying. And it turns out that he's really excited to see this movie. He really wants to be able to see it on opening day. He knows that I want to see Moana, but he's wondering, since we both love both, storylines, would I be open to Spider-Man? And so I do something I've never done before. I don't give him an answer right away. I'm like, I hear you. let me sit with this. Now that seems really small, but in a time when you now have recognized that you want one thing and the person in your life wants something else, I chose not to react and respond right away, and instead to just walk away and sit with it for a minute. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but this is where a lot of disagreements can happen. And knowing my partner and knowing me, I'm like, listen, sometimes we spend time together in ways that looks unconventional. And so later that evening or the next day, I was like, hey, check and see if both Moana and Spider-Man have similar start times at some of the local theaters. He's like, I already did that. There's a 3:00 and a 3:05. We went to the movies together and then we went our separate ways. Because what I realized was I really wanted to see Moana. I'd been building up to it, and I could see Spider-Man next week and I'd be fine. He really wanted to see Spider-Man, and guess what? I realized it wasn't worth like me being sad or, completely just blowing it out of proportion. And also, like, if that's what's going to make him happy, go do it. Because I actually would love for you to be happy, but I don't want to sacrifice what I want in this moment.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
We're both there at the movies.
We're both at the movies. We rode together. We left together.
Exactly. No, I love that. I think that was like that was a very great compromise. Like meeting in the middle. And also the fact that you said, like, you took a step back and you said, like, I'm not going to give you a reactive answer because that's what you would have given beforehand. Yes. I love that. And trust me, as a person who loves going to the movies, and my husband and I are always like every week, it's like, he's like, well, you always pick the movie. And I was like, I mean, it's because you don't ever say anything. Like when we're here and we're watching previews, and I'm like, if you just say like, hey, I really want to see this.
Yeah.
And then I might handle it the same way you did, where I'm like, okay, well, actually,
Yeah.
why don't you go see that? And I'm
Yeah.
going to go see this. Yeah.
But it's like quieting down the noise that goes like, you have to be the one to make the sacrifice, or you have to be the one to do what the other person wants, or,
or they have to do what you want.
or they have to do what you
like,
want, right?
They have to do what you want. Like it just was a very seamless way of making an adult decision. Like a very adult, like, okay, I see you and we're both seeing each other.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure you had something to talk about on the way home. Like, oh, well, what happened to your movie? What happened to yours?
Exactly. And again, like you said, when you are a moviegoer, you're like, well, you know what? I'll probably go see it again with you, or you know what I mean, or you can solo,
We'll
whatever.
be there again this weekend. So
Yeah, there'll be options. It's fine. Like it's fine.
I love that. That's a great example. Another thing that I think high achieving people struggle with is decision making.
Yes.
And I don't think that this was like really a thing for me that I noticed until probably around like 2019, when I was kind of slowly spiraling out and no one knew it at work. But it's the year I started therapy, because I was like, oh my God, like I feel like whatever that's, I know people on this show get tired of me saying this, but this is always like, so if you're watching, you see me I'm doing it again. It's when they throw the balls in the air and you're like literally trying to run and you're trying to get all of them. And so that was me. And that was me. And part of it was like the constant need to make decisions all the time. And I remember telling my husband, I was like, because I'm just tired. I'm tired of making decisions like from the time I get up, going to work, coming home. Like even a decision about what to eat was like annoying. So so I think a lot of times people think that it looks like strength, right? Like, but it is quietly draining people.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. So do you want me to like kind of share my thoughts on how to make decisions? Okay.
Yes,
Awesome.
please.
So here's what I would say about decision making is I think, especially as a fellow high achiever, right, is that a lot of times we apply the same weight to a decision like, hey, should we see the same movie, as we do to a decision about like, where should we go on vacation, right? And those could be very different, like they could have very different implications, if you will.
Right.
And so being able to, again, pause and be like, how big is this decision really? Is the first step. One of the things about the VOICCE framework is like being able to identify what's at the core and what's the desired outcome. And so if it's like, when you talk about meal planning, hey, for me, I just don't want to be hungry at the end of the day. I could eat the same thing 5 times in a row. So I'm gonna reduce my decision making by just making sure that like my body isn't like feeding on itself at the end of the day.
Right.
Right. But then there's something else that matters more. Like, hey, where I go on vacation, I want to feel restored. I want to feel as though like I've explored something new. I want to feel as though I've spent time with the people that I love. Well, that's going to require a different level of decision making. And so first, just being really clear on the desired outcome. And that's the vision, right, of the voice model. And so I think one, just being able to frame the decision and understand how much energy each decision requires is important. I think having this model in which you can create this repeatable process, whether the decision is big or large, is really helpful. And also being able to make those decisions from a place of groundedness and centeredness, as opposed from reactivity. Because what I've noticed is more than decision itself is the story we tell ourselves about the decision. Like
Right.
if it's good or bad, if it's right or wrong, if it now is going to carry certain consequences. And so being able to make our decisions from a place of groundedness is going to create a better overall energy exchange when it comes to making that decision.
I love that. Okay, now, so you talked about the voice framework, which I'm going to tell you all again. It's VOICCE.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah. So what I love about this framework is, again, you can apply it to small decisions. Obviously, it's going to be a quicker, more accelerated process, or bigger decisions. But once you learn the framework, you will see yourself using it time and time again. So the first question, V, and it is all about that identity. So like, who am I as a person? Who am I as a leader, right? That's the bigger evaluation, as well as what's the desired outcome? What's the impact I want to make? And so if we're going to make a decision, like we should probably understand where we're headed with the decision. So that's the V, that's the vision. The options, it's actually really interesting because before we dive into what it means to evaluate options, we have to understand how we as humans behave when it comes to especially like high pressure situations. So when we're in a place of pressure, options goes from there's many possibilities and like abundant thinking to it's life or death, it's right or wrong, it's black or white.
Right. Yeah.
Right? It's yes or no. And like every decision carries all this enormous weight if we're not careful. So options first asks us to understand, well, how do I first want to show up under pressure so that I can see all of my options? And then like, how do I remind myself that there's more than one way to get there? There's more than one possible path.
Yeah.
Like the movie example is perfect. It could have been we either see your movie or we see my movie, right? But there's so many other options. It could be, hey, we're going to go to the movies back to back. We're going to see both movies, right?
Yes.
There could have been so many other ways to solve that. But options helps us to not react in the moment and to see like a much more greater range of possibility. Then you get to insight, and insight can be quick if it's a quick decision, or it could be really in-depth. It can be anything from a personality assessment. I'm a big whole brain thinking practitioner, and so I love like insight that tells me like how I show up and how I think. But also it can be like, what's my intuition saying? Because I didn't need to go and do a whole SWOT analysis to figure out what we do about the movies, right? But it was like, what's my intuition saying? My intuition is saying that he and I have a good time, whether we're together for the whole 2 hours or whether we're just like going out for an experience that we both got to do something we enjoyed. So like my intuition was able to inform that experience.
Right.
Now you make a choice. And choice is super important. So this is the first C. And I love that you articulate that there are 2 C's in voice. You make a choice. And for many of us high achievers, it goes back to that pressure of like getting it just right. Sometimes we're afraid to make a choice because we're afraid of what's going to happen after the choice, not the choice itself.
Yeah.
And so being able to come from this clear vision, this grounded and centered space with clear insight and or intuition to say, you know what, this is where we're going to start right now. This is the right decision based on what we have and where we're going. So that's choice. But choice is nothing without commitment. So we need that other C. Because if we don't commit to the choice, we'll keep waffling. Well, maybe we should be both movies. Well, maybe we shouldn't. You know what I mean? Like, no, you make the choice and then you commit.
Yes.
And then in the process of moving from commitment to execution, there's understanding that there's going to be obstacles, perhaps in certain big choices. There's going to be things that might get in the way. And so execution allows you to navigate and say, well, what other things do I need to be prepared for on this journey? What other things, even like when I came back to him, it's like, hey, check and see if the movie has something. If one movie started at one time and the other movie didn't start for 2 hours, well, that's a different scenario, right?
Right. Yeah.
But being able to understand, like, what are some of the potential roadblocks and how can I resource myself against those roadblocks so I can continue to see this decision all the way through until it's time to reevaluate the vision or reevaluate, the next steps of the process. So that's the whole thing.
I love it.
Yeah, you can do it for little decisions. You can do it for really big, career or professional projects or so forth.
But I love that you use, just even using the example you use, it helps people to see that like it can be something that seamlessly maybe feels like a small thing, but it was still a decision nonetheless, because like you said, I mean, one of you could have said, well, we're going to see this. And that's just it. And that could have turned into a much greater argument, right, from a discussion. So, but then you see how like you can apply it to like very different areas of your life and just take the time, walk through the steps. I love that. I love the like having the committing to the choice. I got the choice. I'm going to commit to it and then I'm going to execute, because a lot of times that's where people fall off.
Exactly. That's where a lot of projects stall. It's like we're going back, we're reevaluating before we've actually had a chance to see it through. And so it's being able to understand what is derailing the commitment and then doing the work very deliberately in order to move it forward.
Already circling back before you've done something.
Because of fear of the wrong choice. A lot of times, right?
Well, we're going to just go ahead and set up some time to circle back on this because really? I mean, did we decide? I mean,
Right. Like, let's see something through, first.
Let's just put it out there. Let's test and learn. I like to go all the way back to the good old test and learn. Can we test and learn?
Yeah,
Please?
absolutely. And that might be part of the choice too, right? It's like, hey, we're gonna do this small iteration first, and we're gonna learn from that. And that is the thing about voice too, is that it's not always. I think of it more of as a circle than a linear experience, but also you can, if you need to, you can bring other pieces of the experience. Hey, we need to reground in our vision. We have new information, or it's the same vision, so let's make sure that we are moving and making decisions accordingly. So you can use the process in a fluid way as well.
You said like the key thing is choice, like choices. Like I have options.
You have options.
I have options before I make a choice. So you bring those options to the table, and it doesn't just have to be one thing. It could be 5 things, and then you can work those things through however you need to and figure out which one works for this moment. And I think people forget, like, just because you commit to something and you execute on it, it doesn't mean like it has to stay frozen in time. Like
that. Thank you, Kyra, for saying that. And I think that one of the things that I see with like women where I see them make a shift is when they really internalize that idea, I have options. I can feel physically in my body right now. When I say that out loud, I have options. I feel differently than when I feel like I'm stuck.
Yes.
Yes.
And I don't know, maybe if that's the thing from us being marketers, because as marketers, it was always about like getting, putting something out there, getting the data, the insights, and then making changes, right? Making those shifts, pivoting when we needed to pivot, because nothing was ever like set in stone. But I mean, but like you said, yes, there is something pretty amazing when women find out and figure out that they have options.
Exactly.
It's a scary moment for everyone around us when we come to the realization that, I don't have to choose this.
Exactly. Being able to see our options, to see that our choices are not so binary. And also, listen, this might be an unpopular opinion, but you might be able to create more spaciousness for yourself and reduce some of that fatigue that you're experiencing if you just start to say, hey, this is a decision that just needs to be good enough. Good enough is okay too.
Yeah.
And so there is some decision-making pressure that comes with everything has to be like the perfect A1,
Yeah.
A plus. And it's like,
Yeah.
hey, actually,
Yeah.
this is just good enough.
I can tell you that your good enough is probably better than most people.
You
And
know,
that is something that when you can that's another thing. I think when I got to the place, I was like, look, I mean, my good enough is better than what these people do every day.
I had a leader tell me that one time. She's like, because I was getting to burnout, right? And I was telling her in a very transparent, one-on-one, I trusted this leader. And I was like, I feel like I just need to throttle back to about 80% in order to survive right now. And she's like, Tian, I don't think that you understand, but I'm pretty sure your 80% is still like the average 110, like 110%. Right. And so that was kind of eye-opening, like, ooh, okay, I think I'm carrying more than necessary.
Exactly. Yes.
Mhm.
All right. So
Mhm.
tell us about your talk about how people can work with you and
Yeah.
about especially about the leadership cohort experience that you offer.
Yes. So the leadership cohort as of right now is offered twice a year, and we do actually have one coming up in the fall. So I'm really excited to invite individuals into a conversation. That's step one, because it's important for them to, if you're going to spend your time, your energetic, and your financial resources with me, let's make sure there's a good fit and make that
Mhm.
you're going to get to that desired outcome, right? That vision that you're craving. And so the Voice Intensive runs for 8 weeks. It starts on September 11th with the final registration date of August 28th. So first and foremost, if this resonates, there is an easy way to reach out to me and set up a conversation. If you go right to the website, you can express interest in Voice, and then you'll receive an invitation into a conversation so we can make sure there's a good fit there. If that feels like a big investment right now, the most low stakes thing that anyone can do is they can go right to the LSF Wellness website and they can download the Excellence Without Exhaustion resource. It is a very simple way to sit down and spend time with yourself saying, like, what is the energy that I want to carry forward in my day? How do I want to come home from my day and be? And so you're spending time doing some self-reflection. And then there's a few other ways to engage from there. So you can do this independent level work, you can do this all-in voice intensive, or there's other like one-on-one coaching that individuals can do with me.
Awesome.
Or
And
I'm sorry to
go
cut you
ahead.
off,
Yeah.
but
No.
also like for teams. So if there's a person listening and they're leading an organization or they're leading a team within an organization, there's a place to get in contact with me because I do specialized experiences and workshops also for teams. They can be small as 5 people or much larger.
Awesome. I love that. I like look, we have options,
We have
everyone.
options. Yes.
All right, now tell people how to connect to you.
Yeah. So the easiest thing that I will say that's easiest to know and remember is lsfwellness.com. If you message me from LSF Wellness, it's going to come right to my phone. You can email me from the website, which is just Tian at LSF Wellness. And you can also connect with every single social that I'm on from the website. So if you go to lsfwellness.com, not only can you explore some of these tools and resources, but you can connect with me in the way that most aligns with you and in the way that you want to engage. Yeah.
Awesome. This was me over here too, you all who are watching, going and connecting, making sure I'm
Yes.
following her on Instagram. All right, awesome. I love that. Okay, so now we're going to do three things with Tyann. I love this part of the show as well. It just helps our audience get to know you even better. So, the first question I like to ask is how do you start and end the day?
Yes. So it's funny because I am both um, very much a creature of habit where I like some structure and routine, but I also need to feel like I'm creating discovery and exploration.
Mhm.
So my creature of habit thing is day and night. Most days of the week, I'm having tea. I'm having tea to
Okay.
kick off my day. I'm having
Mhm.
tea to close out my day. But where I bring in some discovery and exploration is sometimes like it's my It's like, let me be clear, every season is matcha season. Like, I love matcha, but right now it's summer, so I've been playing around with my matcha flavors, doing, like,
Mhm.
strawberry hibiscus or jasmine or rose flavored matcha, and then in the fall, it'll be time for chai flavors again and, like,
Mhm.
cinnamon, and so I do that. So tea is big, um, both morning and night. The other thing I'm doing in the mornings right now is I'm doing these morning miles where I like to get up and just get out and start to move my body. It's my time with God. It's my time with my devotion, my prayer, but to do it in nature. So weather permitting, I'm outside. And then the other thing I do at night, so me and my husband play Tekken almost every night.
Nice.
It is ridiculous because he pretty much he won't like me saying this, but it's okay. He beats up on me every night. Now, clearly, that's in the video game. He is so good, and I just come back night after night, like, "I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna get better." So, I think that's, like, and then I play with different characters and I learn. So,
Mhm, mhm.
yeah,
I love
those are my
that.
morning and evening rituals.
Awesome, awesome. All right, the second question is, what's a current goal or intention that you're focusing on?
Yes. So every year I set an intention word. And that word this year, it usually comes to me somewhere towards the end of the year before. And so the word that came to me was the word spacious.
Oh.
And that word has done so much for me from a mindful awareness place. So mindfulness, and I mean, even when I'm talking about pausing and I'm talking about tuning in, it all comes from a foundation of mindfulness.
Mhm,
And so this mindfulness, this mindful awareness is me understanding myself well enough to know that in order for me to get the best out of myself, I need to give myself space. I need to
mhm,
give myself space to think, to
mhm,
process, space to be creative. I've learned that because, right, fellow high achievers, like because I want to get the job done, I will do the work without taking the pause if I'm not paying
mhm.
attention, right?
Yeah.
I was working with a leader recently. She leads our OSHA Center for Integrative Health here in Cincinnati at UC. And she said, mindfulness is the foundation for any change that we want to make. So her name's Dr. Shawn Cotton. She's brilliant. And she's like, it's the foundation for any change we want to make because we can't change what we don't notice or what we're not aware of.
Mhm, mhm,
And so spaciousness has allowed me to reconnect with my mindfulness and my mindful practice in new ways. And what I love about it, that word spacious can mean a lot of things, and so can mindfulness. And so, right, like just having the space to think, or just having the space to explore, or just even fit my physical space. Like, I'm gonna be really transparent here. Like, I got some things a little out of order because it's been a busy few weeks, and it's like
mhm,
my space needs to feel open and spacious
mhm.
and not cluttered and crammed.
Yeah.
And so, yes, like spaciousness is what I'm focusing on. And I can tell when I'm outside of that because I start to
Mhm,
feel a little less creative. I start to feel agitated and
mhm,
a little
mhm.
overwhelmed, and that's a setup for burnout.
Yes. Yes, indeed. All right. And the last question is, where are you currently finding inspiration?
Yes. So I am finding inspiration for sure in nature. I think practicing spaciousness has helped
Mhm,
me create more time for intentional time, alone. That's been really important, but
mhm,
also intentional time with nature and with God's work. Nature reminds us that we will always be in some aspect of a season of change, right? Like nature is continuously evolving. We are shedding the old, we are creating space for
mhm,
the new, we are letting go of what's no longer serving. And so I've found a new appreciation for every single season of the year. And so being out in nature has given me a lot of inspiration.
mhm,
The other thing I will say is that being in community with other women, especially women entrepreneurs right now, has been so inspiring because there's so much resilience, there's so much creativity, there's so much
mhm,
heart. And every woman that I know that's running a business right now is doing it because they want to create a change or an impact.
mhm,
And let me be clear, I mean, most women that I know want to impact community and want to impact and serve others really well, but there's also something to be said for wanting to change our own circumstances, right?
mhm,
Impact like our own legacy or impact our own households,
mhm,
circumstances. So I'm just really inspired by women and women entrepreneurs right now, but just communities of women, women coming together to share their
yeah.
experiences.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. All right. Those were amazing. So, all right. I have one last question, Diane, before I let you go. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for coming today and sharing with the community. This is always a needed topic to discuss. So I'm really glad that you were here, and everyone listening, watching, make sure you go and check out Tyann, check out her website. And I mean, I just feel like you can help so many people.
Thank you, Kyra. That really means a lot.
And I want to ask you one last thing before I let you go. What are three things you'd like our listeners to take away from today's conversation?
Absolutely. Well, like I said, thank you for having me here. I love this platform and I love what you represent. You are doing amazing work. If there are three things that I could leave with our listeners, one, I do recommend beginning a mindfulness practice. Now, again, that does not have to look like sitting in meditation for 30 minutes. It could mean practicing a pause in between your meetings for 2 minutes and just breathing and just noticing your own energy. It could mean journaling for 5 minutes at the start or end of the day. But begin a practice that allows you to turn your attention inward and notice what's happening within and be able to ask yourself important questions like, how is this serving me now? Or how do I want to show up under pressure? The second thing I would say is that you are already enough. And so society will have us thinking that we need to be some other version of ourselves, but the version that you are today is a wonderful representation of, God's his greatness, and being able to accept where we are today, even if we have other visions for the future. Like, I think there's something really powerful in practicing that self-acceptance and knowing that we're already enough as we are. And then lastly, and you said it so well, so I just have to double down on it, is you have options. So whatever space we're in, if we are feeling pressure or we're feeling stuck, we are only limited by our ability to imagine other outcomes and other opportunities. And so knowing that you have options to create whatever shift you want in your life, I hope that everyone walks away feeling and truly believing that.
Oh, I love those. Those were excellent, excellent. But I do want to say thank you so much again for sharing. And you can always come back to see us here in the future.
I would love that. I feel like, Kyra, we have so much in common and so much that we could just go down a rabbit hole on. So
Yes. Like,
please do let me come back because, yeah, it will be a good time.
awesome. Well, stay tuned to everyone. All right, welcome back. And let's thank Tyann for joining the show today. What great insights. I mean, great insights. So make sure you go over to her website and check out everything. Learn more about her, learn more about working with her, learn more about her cohort that will be launching. That happens twice a year. So yeah, make sure you do that. Also, if you want to learn more about Glow Up Girl, make sure you check us out. We are at glowupgirl.com. You can make all the connections there to us on social. If you want to follow us on YouTube, make sure you go there. We are at Glow Up Girl. I meant to say if you want to watch this episode. So, and then also wherever you are listening or watching, make sure you rate, review, and share. It helps more people find the show. And if you are sharing anything on social that you think would benefit our community, make sure you tag us in so that we can cheer you on. All right. I think that is everything, my friends. So I want to say thank you again to everyone who has taken time out of their day to listen, watch wherever you may be in the world. I want to thank you so much for all the support that you always give. All right, I think that's it, friends. So I will see you all next week. So until then, stay focused, fab, and glow up. Take care, everyone.